August the 19th, 2023. Guys, here in central Mississippi at 9:10 a.m., we are at 80 degrees. It feels like 88, and we're going to get up into the hundreds again. Starting today, that heat's going to build for the next 8 days. Now, we're going to be around 101, 102 today for the actual temperature, but by this time next Saturday, guys, 8 days, 107 the actual temperature, not the heat index or the real feel. So we got a week ahead of us that's going to probably go down in the record books. It may be the warmest week of the year so far in the southeast. Now, we may get some breaks from that because of tropical activity coming into the Gulf, along the border states there with the northern Gulf. But right now, the first impact to the U.S. is about to happen. What you're looking at is storm total rainfall today through Monday. That would be, we're Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This is Southern California. Now, the way this code is set up, when you get into the purple on the left, guys, you're looking at 10 to 15 inches of rain. And that's showing up at Big Bear Lake here in Palm Springs. And, guys, I've been in this area. It's desert. Matter of fact, over 30 years ago, a crew of us left central Mississippi and built the cable system across the highway from Palm Springs in what they call Desert Hot Springs, and you could see Big Bear from there. But again, you're looking at 10 to 15 inches, Big Bear. You're same thing, 5 to 7 inches down in Idlewood, but right there between Idlewood and Palm Springs, you're looking at another 10 to 15 inches of rain over the weekend, and it goes down. And the red is 5 to 7 inches. In the orange, you're looking at around 4 inches. And you can see how this is going to be concentrated. Now, a lot of these places can use the rain. And, guys, this is going to move all the way up into Utah. And we know they can use it with the fires. And for you guys in the Northwest, you're going to see a cooling temperatures move in as from the actual Pacific as we see this rainfall move northward. Now, all of this area is tropical storm warnings here. You've got flood watches north of there. Down here in the Baja, you've got hurricane warnings are already out. Again, you've already got tropical storm warnings. You guys are not used to that, and I understand. We're not used to some of the things you guys see, but this could be one for the record book, so you're going to have to pay very close attention to it. You can click here in your any area, and you'll go into a little more detail. Now, looking at the national map, you can see above the LA area here in the deserts that you're looking at flood watches all the way into Utah. Check that out. That could help with the wildfires, and it's going to bring cooler temperatures to you. Here in the southeast, it's a different story. You can see everything starting to build up under this high-pressure dome. You can just build a circle around this, and it's going to be moving to the east. Today, our county's in this heat advisory. Then if you get into the purple areas, guys, you're talking about the extreme heat warnings, things like that, excessive heat warnings. So it's just going to be another week. We got to all bear down and get through it. My prayer to our Father is to please keep our power on. That way we can keep cool and keep all our pets cool, no matter how hot it is. But if the grid goes down, it's buckets of ice and fans. So that's, just think about what I just said. Now, looking at AccuWeather, I've never, in my dozen or so years reporting about hurricanes on YouTube, had this in the headlines: tropical storm warnings issued for LA, San Diego as Hillary churns towards Southern California. Downpours advancing northward ahead of Hillary were already resulting in flash flood warnings across the deserts of Southern California early today. It says expert teams at AccuWeather and forecasters say the worst of the storm's impacts are still to come. Of course they are, because it's still south of you. Residents of Southern California are bracing for what could be a once-in-a-lifetime tropical storm landfall. Impacts from Hillary are likely to be highly disruptive, damaging, and dangerous. Meteorologists are warning that copious amounts of rain, in some places more than would normally fall over the entire year, will trigger tremendous flash flooding. Guys, you're about to be on the news, but you don't want to be in the news. You don't want to be a casualty. Look at where you're at. Look at the elevations. If you're in the bottom of a mountain area, you're going to get caught in road washouts, bridge washouts, things like that. This is nothing to play with. We're used to it in the South a lot more than you are as far as this particular type of weather. It says AccuWeather meteorologists are concerned that life-threatening flooding disaster may unfold in some of the desert areas east of the mountains in southern California to southern Nevada and western Arizona. The impact from Hillary has the potential to be an extraordinary event, one that is rare and unprecedented. Now let's take a look at the timing and the path. Hillary, again in the bottom, still off the coast of the Baja Peninsula. Right now, Cat 4 by this afternoon at 5 p.m. Now this would be West Coast time. It's supposed to be going down from a Cat 4 now to a Cat 2. I don't see that happening until you get a little bit more of the east side or the right side of the storm coming ashore. Now, by 5 a.m. in the morning, Cat 1 is starting to come ashore along the Baja Peninsula itself. By tomorrow evening at 5 p.m., again, West Coast time, you've got a tropical storm on top of you in Southern California. So you don't have much time to prepare. I think one of the things I would be watching for. Now, a tropical storm is not that bad, but what happens when you got a very strong hurricane, even when the center starts to slow down as far as the eye wall in that area, the forward momentum has already been pushed. So watch out for flying debris, roof damage, flooding. Don't let your pets be caught somewhere where they cannot escape in low-lying areas. That has just happened, guys. Some floods up northeast. It killed every animal in the shelter. That's a sad thing because they can't get out. So make sure that that doesn't happen in your area. But again, 5 a.m. Monday, we're crossing into the Vegas area, tropical low, tropical depression. 5 p.m. Monday, we are up into Utah, guys, maybe helping with those fires by 5 a.m. Tuesday, crossing the Canadian border. The tropical system is expected to make landfall along the northwestern coast of Baja California as a tropical storm, which has maximum sustained winds of 39 to 73 miles per hour during the day tomorrow on Sunday. However, and this is what was my however in the video yesterday, a landfall point that is closer to the border with California still cannot be entirely ruled out. That means that instead of getting into the Baja earlier and the landfall starting to slow the storm down, if that eye wall stays off the coast and then comes into California, it could be hurricane force gust, 74 miles per hour or greater still can occur. The last time a tropical storm made landfall in Southern California was 84 years ago in 1939 near Long Beach. Forecasters have rated Hillary a 2 on the AccuWeather Real Impact Scale for hurricanes in the U.S., predominantly due to the high risk of life-threatening and damaging flooding. This map, guys, shows the Hillary impact Saturday through Tuesday, life-threatening flooding, mudslides and washouts, power outages, rough surf, coastal erosion. And the scale is 2 on the damage. It's also a 2 in Mexico. But you can look in the red areas. This is catastrophic, guys. This little sliver right there. Outside of that, extreme. Then you've got moderate and some all the way up through Elko and into the Utah area. Check that out. But again, life-threatening and flooding, mudslides and washouts, power outages, rough surf, coastal erosion. And these power outages, to me, is a major concern since Hurricane Katrina, which 17, 18 years ago that came in New Orleans and Mississippi, devastated everything. We were 120 miles inland. It knocked out the power and the water for 2 weeks, guys. And when the storm passed, which was in August, the heat returned. We were under a heat dome. It returned, and we had no power or water. And it was miserable. Right after that is when I started slowly building my solar system for some backup, and that's what triggered it, because that was terrible. My granddaughter had just been born, a few months old, if that, a few weeks maybe, and we were desperately trying to keep her cool. But guys, think about all of the things that's on this chart and try your best to be prepared for them. You're not used to what you're about to experience. It continues, it says, despite a downward trend of winds, the hurricane will track close to the western shoreline of Mexico's Baja California Peninsula, causing damaging wind gusts, pounding waves, coastal flooding, and erosion. In this part of Mexico, torrential rain could be 20 inches, guys, for our friends there. 20 inches will lead to life-threatening flash flooding and mudslides due to the impacts of the heavy rain and strong winds. Again, Hillary is rated as a 2 on the impact scale. Massive seas offshore will pose a significant danger to vessels in the region. Forecasters strongly recommend the small craft remain in port. Guys, and if you got a boat in any of the harbors from Baja up into California, make sure that it got extra ropes on it and that you got slack in that rope enough to where when the seas rise in that area, that your boat is not held under and flooded and sank. If it's small enough boat, today you should be getting your trailer in there and getting that thing out. Again, you're not used to this. We are. We've been through it every year from the beginning. So let's take a look at that storm surge. This is all the way from the southern tip of Baja. That's where we had the webcam up yesterday. Into Guerrero Negro, you can see, and then to San Diego. Storm surge in the darker orange is 3 to 6 feet, 1 to 3 feet in the other areas. Now up into the northern tip of the Sea of Cortez, a lot of that pressure is going to be pushed into the tip. That's why you're seeing storm surges of 3 to 6 feet right here. But the 1 to 3 feet, guys, do you have that much extra rope for a 3-foot rise on your boats? And do you have enough extra ropes? I've never been through one where we didn't have to go down and there was not damage somewhere. Heavy swells will build northward along the coast of Southern California into Sunday, and high waves will pose dangers to small craft and swimmers alike. Tornadoes and waterspouts are also possible. Some things, again, you don't see over there that much. It says even though Hillary will not be a powerhouse in terms of wind for the U.S., now that will depend on how far it stays offshore of the Baja before it starts to cross there. It says there will be tremendous risk to lives and property from the torrential downpours and the likelihood of record rainfall. Coastal flooding can occur from Los Angeles to San Diego, along with gusty winds that can knock down trees, cause power outages, and lead to minor property damages, they're saying. So, guys, think of the population and you guys that are there, LA, San Diego area, and all the surrounding areas. Look at the strength of your power system. Does it go down easily? Do you have a lot of rolling blackouts? I know the governor there cares nothing about the people. There's another agenda. So do not rely on too much information coming from your local government. I hate to say that, but check out your AccuWeather. That's a national weather service. And look at your local weather. But guys, again, on my website at BPearthWatch.com, almost every link that we use watching these hurricanes is there on the left. You can hit a button for either the National Weather Service or hurricanes or from the Fox Hurricane System down in Miami and get accurate, up-to-date, real-time radar imaging and information coming in. So make sure you stay on top of that. Listen, California, again, I hate to bring this up because you're not used to it. You're going to need extra batteries. Make sure your cell phones are charged up. If you have battery-powered radios and flashlights, make sure they are charged up. Make sure you're getting water stored. Right now, you should be out getting bottled water because if you're on a water system that relies on electric pumps, the way that Maui was, and the way we are here, if the power goes out, it's not going to be able to pump water. And then after the storm clears and the heat returns, you're going to be very thirsty. Don't be caught in that. Go out and get your food and water. Gas up your vehicles now. Don't wait till this evening. Do it now because you're going to start to encounter more and more backups in traffic and traffic lines going into the anywhere you need supplies, and especially your gas stations. Now, let's look at the peak gusts. This goes all the way from Baja up into Nevada and parts of Utah, guys. The dark purple 80 to 100 mile per hour winds here into this section of California. Check that out. Outside of those areas, the minimum 40 to 60 mile per hour gust. So this could help as far as the wind won't help, but the rainfall associated with this may help some of the reservoirs like Lake Mead and things like that a lot of people rely on. We'll watch and see, but I have heard that they're warning people not to be in the deserts there, especially Death Valley, because it could fill up. That's something that you don't see very often, isn't it? But there could be a lot of areas to where you're trapped from roads, and you can have flash flooding in the desert very easily. Now here we're looking at the arrival time of the rain. 7 a.m. Saturday, we're already starting to see it into this area. Now by 7 p.m. this evening, rainfall will already be up into Nevada. Check this out, into Utah, into Arizona, and a good bit of central California. In the morning on Sunday, it's already reaching into northern Nevada, northern California. By 7 p.m. tomorrow evening, up into Utah, it's into Idaho, and a little further north right there. What is that, Montana, guys? Let me know. So everything's right on top of us. This is the weekend. You're going to have to pay very close attention to it. Don't be caught off guard. You're just going to have to hunker down, but make sure you got the supplies for you and your pets to do that. And there's a lot of farmers and cattle and horses in that area. And remember, the last storm that came through here decimated the raisin crops, and they're talking about a lot of impact on the agriculture in this area. Some of the record rainfall amounts they're talking about in Palm Springs and the Coachella Valley. Palm Springs can potentially receive an entire year's worth of rain from this storm over 24 to 48 hours over the weekend. The historical average annual rainfall for the desert town is only 5 inches. So that would be a year's worth of rain. You could get twice that, because they can generalize an area, but certain parts within that area could have the stronger downpours. Now this chart, they're talking about life-threatening flooding. See, San Diego, LA, it looks like Phoenix and Tucson may be just to the east of that. Las Vegas is in it, and a good bit of Nevada. Again, almost half the state of California. It says this is through Monday. Road washouts, rapid water rises, mudslides, potentially historic flooding for some people. And you've never seen this, guys, but if it will help with the fire situations up north and knock some of that smoke out and save people's homes, I can't say it will be worth it for the people in the path, for everybody, because there's going to be destruction. But I guess it's just putting maybe a silver lining on that cloud. It says a general 2 to 4 inches of rain is forecast to fall, with the likelihood of a foot of rain or more in the wettest locations in Southern California and west central Nevada. A substantial amount of that rain will fall in less than 12 hours. Said the AccuWeather local storm max rainfall of 20 inches is projected. In addition to Palm Springs, torrential rainfall and flooding are likely in other desert cities and parks, including Vegas and Death Valley, which could turn into a massive lake. The heaviest rain and worst flooding is likely to stay well west of Phoenix, but flash flooding is likely in metro areas along the Colorado River Basin. Infrastructure in the area may not be able to handle the historic rainfall amounts. Across interior Southern California, road and rail line closures due to major flooding, washouts, and mudslides are likely, putting a significant strain on the infrastructure. Some sections of the major highways and rail systems may be damaged to the point where they could be closed for an extended period following the storm. The worst conditions from Hillary with difficult and dangerous travel will increase on Sunday and remain Sunday night and last into at least Monday morning. Some roads may be flooded by heavy rain and overwash from the ocean or blocked by fallen trees and power lines. Frequent wind gusts between 40 and 60 miles per hour are likely in coastal areas, but gusts between 60 and 80 miles an hour are likely over the ridges and through some of the canyons. Now, that could be dangerous in itself, because if you have the high wind out in front of the rain, guys, and it's very dry there, and power lines go down and hit that grass and the other dried vegetation there, you could have fires out in front of the rain. So just be prepared for that. Again, 60 to 80 mile per hour winds likely over the ridges and through the canyons. Continues in saying Hillary could hit California's agricultural region hard. California is responsible for producing approximately 2/3 of the fruits and 1/3 of the vegetables produced in the U.S. Now, below this is a map. It's called a heat breaks through Monday. Notice your flooding is in the green up this side of the area, but in Seattle, Portland, Redding, down to San Francisco, into below Central California, significant cool down. That will also help with the fires, guys, because if you break that temperature down a little bit and you get a little moisture in there, that could be a saving grace. But you've got to watch for, again, if you're a farmer raising a lot of plants and crops and things like that, for the flooding and wind damage. July through October, the busiest harvest months of the year, particularly in the San Joaquin Valley, where most of the produce is grown. A cool, wet spring has the harvest of many crops behind schedule. Fresh fruits and vegetables may be susceptible to mold and spoilage due to excessive rain and further delays in the harvest from the storm. Cotton may be discolored and yields may be reduced. Winds may knock almonds to the ground, where they become moldy or rot due to the incoming rain. Now, guys, just briefly, and I'm going to do another video on what's happening in the Atlantic, but just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with at 9:45 p.m., updated at 8 a.m. this morning, these two storms right here are the ones that we're going to have to watch the closest. This one may become dangerous if it strengthens, which it could, and what will happen, it looks like this one's going to move in now, and it's centered into Texas, right in this area. This one's going to follow it, and just like we saw last night, when the high pressure relieves to the north, it could split into two systems. This system could lead up along the coast, and these two split systems now may follow up. You may have three systems at one time moving up the east coast. But again, I'm going to fully update this with the maps and things of what's going on. Give me a few minutes, and we'll get that done. We're watching it. You guys in the west coast, you guys in Mexico, and up through Nevada, keep an eye on this weather. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.